Hello, this is Miss Hall from the math department, and I'm preparing this video for students who would like a little study session help for their math section of the PSAT. The goals of this video are to know what to expect on the PSAT math section, try some problems, learn strategies for dealing with problems you don't know how to do. The math section breaks down into there's two parts at the bottom of the screen, a no calculator section that's 25 minutes for 17 questions, and a calculator section that is 45 minutes for 31 questions. Of those problems, you will end up having 40 multiple choice questions and 8 questions that you grid in, where you create your own answer and grid them in. You will get 1 point for each correct answer. You get 0 points for unanswered questions, and you get 0 points for each incorrect answer on the grid in section. You are not docked any points for guessing, so be sure that you at least put an answer down for every problem on the test. All right, when it comes to what is covered on the math test, when you're working with numbers and operations, you should know how to work with fractions, percents, ratios, proportion problems, properties of integers such as even, odd, prime numbers, and divisibility. When you're talking algebra and functions, you should be able to factor polynomials, solve algebraic equations and inequalities, simplify algebraic expressions, properties of exponents, and equations of lines. For geometry and measurement, you should be able to find relationships between angles, find area and perimeter, understand volume, of course, the Pythagorean theorem, and similarity. And then for data analysis, statistics, and probability, you should understand mean, median, and mode, interpreting graphs, and probability. I'm not going to read through all of these terms. Feel free to pause the video, read through them yourself. And if there's a word or a term that you don't know or remember from all of your math classes, Google it. During the test, you'll have access to this reference sheet. So you might want to familiarize yourself and make sure you understand what these formulas mean in case you decide you need to use one of them on your test. All right, so some general strategies. Try to remain alert but calm. Don't panic if you cannot answer a question. Skip it and come back to it later. Make sure you're working at a steady pace. Don't rush, but don't waste time. Never stop. Use every available minute. Never give up. Not until the test proctor rips the pencil from your hand. Just kidding. When they call time, you definitely put your pencil down, but work right up till the very last moment. And then also easy questions come first in each section and earn as many points as possible on the easier questions. All right, so as I go through practice problems, if you want to authentically try the problems, pause the video so you're not hearing my explanation or instruction, and do the problem on your scratch paper, and then continue playing the video to see if you get the correct answer. So for number 1, if 2x plus 4 equals 8, what's the value of 6x plus 4? So solving the 2x plus 4 equals 8, hopefully you would quickly subtract the 4 and divide by 2, giving you x equals 2, but be careful. They list 2 as an answer, but that is not what they asked in the actual question. It says, what's the value of 6x plus 4? So you would have to plug in your 2 to the 6x plus 4, and that would get you the answer of 16. The best way to get a great score on your math test is to do more problems. Hopefully, you have done lots of math problems in your math classes. Some other math strategies, such as calculator use. When you're dealing with positives and negatives and all these different things, it is helpful to not trust your head in a rush, but to type it into the calculator. You are allowed to use a calculator on the calculator section, so use it. Make sure you have an idea of what the answer should look like, and make sure you know how to use the calculator you take to the test. Don't take a calculator you've never used before. If you need to see your math teacher for some pointers about your calculator, you might want to do that between now and the test day. All right, so for number 2, how much longer is 16 yards than 16 feet? And they give you the reminder that 1 yard equals 3 feet. Pause the video if you want to try this on your own before hearing my instruction and explanation. So 16 times 3 equals 48 feet. And notice that 48 feet does show up in the answer choices. But again, that's not what they're asking you. They are asking you for the difference. So you're going to take the 48 minus the 16 to get your 32. All right, diagrams. Every diagram on the PSAT has been drawn as accurately as possible. If 2 line segments appear to be the same length, they are. If 2 angles appear to be the same measure, they are. And as it says here in the figure above, points A and C line on line L. What is the value of X? And so you should know some things from your geometry course, such as 2 angles that form a straight line have a sum of 180 degrees. And then all triangles have a sum of 180. So your triangle should add up to 180. So you get an answer of the 70. Another way to have gotten this is that the remote interior angles is equal to the exterior angle. So your remote interior angles are the 40 and the 70 at the A and the B, and your exterior angle is the 110. All right, diagrams are drawn accurately unless the diagram is labeled with figure not drawn to scale. So if that is mentioned, most likely you need to not assume things. So for instance, here's a diagram where it says, note figure not drawn to scale. In the figure above, point P lies on line segments QT and RU. If the measure of angle RPQ is 40 degrees and the measure of angle SPU is 70 degrees, what is the measure of angle SPT? Again, pause the video if you want to try to figure this out on your own. So of course, draw on your test booklet. I would fill in the 40 degrees in the appropriate spots. Vertical angles are congruent. I'd fill that in as well. And then it says that angle S to P to U is 70 from there all the way up. So therefore, we would answer 30 degrees. All right, when you encounter a problem which contains statements about relationships between several variables, practice substituting nice numbers for the variables, low numbers. And when you pick numbers, don't use 0 or 1, but maybe a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5, or however many you would need. Because the numbers 0 and 1 can sometimes lead to more than one correct answer. So for instance, if A is equal to the sum of B and C, which of the following is equal to the difference between B and C? So if we let A equal 5, B equal 3, and C equal 2, because then A equals B plus C, right? The 5 equals the 3 plus the 2. Now we want the difference of B and C with our numbers. The difference would be 3 minus 2 would equal 1. So then we run through the options. For A, we've got A minus B minus C, which is 5 minus 3 minus 2, which would be 0, so no. For option B, we have A minus B plus C, which is 5 minus 3, and then plus 2, which equals 4, so no again. And then option C is A minus C, which would be 5 minus 2 using our numbers. So we would get the 3, which is no again. And then finally at option D, we have A minus 2C, which is 5 minus 2 times 2, which is 5 minus 4, which equals 1. Yes, and so E, who cares? We found the answer. Option D would be our choice. All right, here's another example. If K is an integer greater than 1, which of the following correctly orders the 3 quantities K and the square root of the quantity k squared plus 1 and the square root of k squared plus 1 from least to greatest. So since we have to choose k greater than 1, we're going to make k equal to 2. And now grab your calculator and let's see what we get. So we know k equals 2. So then we go to the next expression, the square root of k squared plus 1. So we have the square root of 2 squared plus 1, which is the square root of 5, which is approximately 2.24. The square root of k squared, and then the plus 1 is not below the radical, ends up equaling a 3 using our value of k equal to 2. So option A shows us from least to greatest in order. Eliminating choices will be helpful. There will be some problems which you don't think you can do, but you can get a good idea of the answer by eliminating bogus choices. Here's an example. Finds the area of the shaded region. So here's a circle. We've got a shaded region. It says 60 degrees, and we've got R for the radius, and our choices are at the bottom. So we know the area of a circle is pi r squared. And the area of a semicircle, which means half the circle, would be half pi r squared. So now our shaded region is less than, which is inside of a semicircle. So the area must be less than 1/2 pi r squared. So we can cross out option C, because we're going to be less than that, option D, and option E. So then you're at least choosing a 50-50 shot. Hopefully everybody watching this video realizes that 60 degrees, the shaded region, was 1/6 of the total circle. So you would choose option A, but this video goes on. Use lists. A palindrome is a number such as 74947 that reads the same forwards and backwards. How many palindromes are there between 200 and 800? Now, you most likely have not seen a math problem like this in your high school courses, but you can still figure this out by making a list. So first, write down all the palindromes in the 200s. 202, 212, 222, 232, 242, etc. Notice that there are 10 palindromes in the 200s. So there must be 10 in the 300s, 10 in the 400s, and so on for 60 altogether. Other math strategies involve strange symbols. On almost all PSATs, there are a few questions that use symbols that you have never seen, like theta or a square or a club or a clover, whichever way you call, or whatever you call that last symbol. Don't panic. They will tell you what the symbol means. For instance, if A and B are unequal positive numbers, then A with the funny symbol B is equal to A plus B divided by A minus B. So then find the value of 6 with that funny symbol 2. Well, if the A funny symbol B is equal to A plus B divided by A minus B, then 6 with the funny symbol 2 would be equal to 6 plus 2 divided by 6 minus 2, which is 8 divided by 4, which is a 2. So the answer is 2. And then it says if C funny symbol D equals 3, which of the following must be true? And we're given some choices. Well, we know that C funny symbol D equals the C plus D over the C minus D. And we know it must equal 3. So this gives us an equation. The C plus D over the C minus D equals 3, which if you cross multiply, it's just equal to C plus D equals 3C minus 3D. If we separate the variables, getting the D's to one side and C's to the other side, we end up with 4D equals 2C, which means C on its own is equal to 2D. So the answered choice is B. All right, so all of these are great strategies for improving your score on the PSAT, using your calculators, redrawing diagrams, replacing variables with numbers, eliminating choices, using lists, and of course, not freaking out when you are faced with strange symbols. For the grid in section, answer choices are not given, so make sure you use your calculator on this section. Write your answer in the box above the grid so you don't make a mistake in gridding. Answers are only positive numbers and zero. Unless the problem specifies, you can enter a fraction or a decimal. Convert mixed numbers to improper fractions before gridding. And sometimes there is more than one right answer, but you will just list one of the right answers. So for instance, the measures of the lengths of the three sides of a triangle are prime numbers. If two of the sides are 5 and 23, what is one possible value for the length of the third side? And this, of course, is from your geometry class. The third side must be greater than 23 minus 5 and less than 23 plus 5. Therefore, the third side must be between 18 and 28, but it also must be a prime number. 19 and 23 are the only prime numbers in this range. So you had two choices to grid in. Another example is if x squared plus x minus 6, what is one possible value for x? An explanation is to find the value of x, you need to factor. And x squared plus x minus 6 factors into the x minus 2 and the x plus 3 because those two numbers multiply to be the -6 and add to be a plus x in the middle. So then solving this, we would end up with x equals 2 or -3. Since answers can only be 0 or positive, the answer needs to be 2. So you would mark a 2 and grid that in. It could also be written as you grid it in as 2.0. All right, getting a great score on the PSAT has nothing to do with chance or luck. You will do as well as you have prepared yourself to do, no better, no worse. It has to do with all of your practice from your math classes that you've had since early on, even back in middle school. So do more problems. This is an internet resource site. So if you want to go to any of these websites, it's helpful. I'm also going to share with you, our video is almost finished here, but I'm going to share with you a different, let's see if I can switch screens. Oop, hello. I'm going to share with you a different website. Of course, now I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this website shows you it's got a practice test and oh nope, hold on. Sorry. That was the wrong one. Why am I not seeing it? There it is. Okay. This is the web. No. I apologize. Share screen. Why am I not seeing? It's not going to the one that I want it to go to. Ah. Okay, maybe now this shows. I'll test it on the video. Okay. Notice at the top it says satsuite.collegeboard.org/PSAT -NMSQT. And in here, what I want to point out is that there are free online full-length practice tests. And when you click on this, I would choose the paper practice test because if you go to the online practice test, you have to go through Khan Academy and sign up for like a free trial. These paper practice tests are pretty nice. I'm going to click on one just to show you. They have a practice answer sheet for you. And then they have a practice test 1 with the scoring of your practice test 1. And they explain the answers. And then they have another practice test. So I'm going to click on the practice test 1 for you. And this might have been the document I had earlier. So I know there's another video from Katie Myers on the reading and English tests, so that these are available to you, but I'm going to scroll to the math test so you can see some of the things I was mentioning in the video. So writing, I know it's test 3, so I'm scrolling, sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Almost there we go. Okay, math test. So math test 3, like I said in the presentation, you've got 25 minutes to answer 17 questions. At the top of the screen will be a calculator with an X through it, if that is the section that's no calculator. So you've got to pay attention to that. Here is that reference sheet that I've also referenced. And now you can go through and time yourself, set up a timer, and work through these different problems that are multiple choice. And hopefully you know how to do all or at least most of these questions within the time frame. And notice that when you get right here, here's the grid in section, and they give you an example of what it's like to grid in your answers. So they show you fractions and decimals, and then they do give you some problems to try right here in this no calculator section. And you'll grid your answer in, and you can again click on the practice answer sheet. And then once it says stop, you're done with that section. Then I'm going to scroll and show you, here's the part where a calculator is allowed. And again, it's a calculator at the top. This one does not have the X through it, so the calculator is allowed, it's permitted. Here's the reference sheet again. And then here are the types of problems where you do get to use a calculator. And I encourage everybody who's watching this video to at least, if you're not able to print it out, but at least pull it up and try it, some of these problems on scratch paper to warm up and be ready for your PSAT math section. It's also great use of your time, especially for the grid in problems, because it's probably not likely that you've had to grid in problems in your recent history of math classes and math tests. And so here are the grid in problems for the calculator ones. You've got some right here. All right. And again, go until it says stop. And like it says, if you finish before time is called, you may check your work on this section only. You're not allowed to return to other sections. And hopefully you found this helpful. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful test day and you earn a wonderful score, and all of your hard work that you've done at Kirkwood High School has paid off. Thanks so much.